up? Welcome to Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Alex Caprariello. Joining me today is Andrew Chapman. You know, somehow, some way, we just keep getting paired together, don't we?
I don't know what it is, Alex, if you just like hanging out with me talking sports, or if Zach Pockle finally got tired of me.
Oh, come on, man. Don't be so hard on yourself. I think it's the former. I like hanging out with you. You're a real winner in my book.
There we go.
But unfortunately for Sun Devil Nation, the losers this week were the football team. They lost to Washington State 37-32. But there is good news. One of our CSL brethren, and specifically his wardrobe, took home the trophy at Todd Graham's weekly press conference.
Sir? Yeah, those are awesome. Like that.
That's right, CSL executive producer Blaine McCormick's foot mittens stole the show. Hashtag Foot Game Strong. Now, as invigorating of a conversation topic as Big Mac Star-Spangled Socks might be, the ASU football coach did eventually have to address his team's home loss to Washington State last week.
That one really hurts because it felt like we could have won the game. Just made some critical mistakes at critical times, and but I'm really, really proud of our football team and proud of the character that they showed and the heart that they showed, and you know, the whole time there, you know, we felt like we were going to come back and win. So, but obviously disappointing.
When you take a look at key stats for the upcoming game against Oregon, it doesn't look pretty for the Sun Devils. ASU loses the battle in a number of areas, putting up less points, passing, and rushing yards per game. The difference is the defense. ASU allows less total yards per game to their opponents, most notably on the ground, where Oregon allows nearly 250 yards per game. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. in Eugene.
All right, let's take it from football to football. It's been rough going for ASU Soccer in the Pac-12. Playoff hopes have been dashed, but the Devils still have a chance to end on a high note with a pair of big-time opponents headed into town. And heading to the CSL desk for the first time, it's Rob Warner to talk some ASU Soccer. Welcome in, Rob.
Thanks for having me on. Looks like a good weekend ahead for ASU Soccer.
It is going to be a jam-packed weekend. A week from now, Territorial Cup, ASU U of A. But let's look to Sunday, ASU versus Stanford. This is a tough game for Arizona State. Stanford has been atop the nation for most of the season and atop the Pac-12 as well. So I'll ask you the simple question, what has made them so good?
Well, Stanford's been really great against ranked teams this year. They're 4-1-1 against ranked teams this year. They've beaten Minnesota, they've beaten Florida, and I think their most important win of the season actually came when they beat UCLA in double overtime away in Southern California. I think that was the most impressive win, and I think that sort of catapulted the Stanford team into believing that night in and night out, they could beat anybody in the country.
They have a high-powered offense, that is for sure. So let's go ahead and dissect that offense-defense matchup a little bit more, Rob. Who are a couple of Stanford attackers, their midfielders that you're looking at in this matchup, and then a couple of ASU defenders to counteract that, keep Stanford out of goal, or at least try to?
Well, Stanford has a couple great forwards that they boast. They've got Jordan Tabasi and they've got Kira Karusela, who have both been great players for the Stanford offense this year. Karusela's been more of the facilitator. She's had 3 assists against ranked opponents, and Tabasi's been more of the goal scorer. She's had 3 goals against those ranked opponents. And I think if ASU wants to have a chance this Sunday, they need Madison Stark and Mackenzie Grossman, 2 of ASU's most veteran defenders, to step up and anchor down that defense for ASU.
And no question, it's been a tough Pac-12 season for Arizona State, but head coach Kevin Boyd has stuck with his statements that this is a young, energetic, and a competitive team. Do they stand a chance against Stanford? Can they pull this upset is the ultimate question.
I think they definitely have a chance to pull this upset. It's not like Stanford's unbeatable. They've lost to USC, and ASU has proven that they can play with great teams. They played a great half against USC earlier this season, and Coach Kevin Boyd told me after that game that if ASU can execute their game plan for a full 90 minutes, they can be successful against anybody in the country. I think that will be the real question, is if they can play 90 minutes of good soccer.
All right, that game is on Sunday, 3 p.m. Rob Warner, first time at the CSL desk. Thanks so much, Rob.
Thanks.
6 games in, and ASU Hockey sits at 1-5. But Sun Devil head coach Greg Powers says that he's not worried about these growing pains. The hockey team has boosted its roster and brought in a number of big-time players. Jacob Janauer sat down with one of them, graduate transfer Robbie Belargian, who decided to forego his time at Beantown powerhouse Boston U for the desert.
All right, so I'm here with Robbie Belargian, a grad student here at ASU, one of the forwards on the Sun Devil hockey team. Now, Robbie, you played 3 years at Boston University. What did playing at such a high caliber program just do for your hockey future?
First off, I think it gave me a lot of experience. Playing at BU, you play in some, pretty great atmospheres. Playing a great league. At BU, also playing the Bean Pot, which is a great tournament every year. And then, being a top program, you get a lot of non-conference top opponents as well.
And what prompted you to choose to attend ASU? Obviously, it's a newer program here over some of the more established programs for grad school.
I got a call from Coach Powers in May when he found out I was looking to transfer. And I talked to him for about an hour on the phone. It was a great phone call. And afterwards, we set up a time for me to come out here and visit. It was just kind of one of those things that I really felt like was the right place. Afterwards I came home and I just thought about it for a little bit, and I just felt like ASU had everything that I needed to help me excel to the next level.
Will prevent Aston Reese from breaking up ice. Pass in front. Balargian scores a power play goal, and it's 5-2.
You're one of the newer players on this team, but you've played a few years of college hockey, so you're still a veteran in that sense. So how have you stepped up as a leader to some of the younger freshmen on this team?
I think it's going back to what I learned at BU from that experience that I gained, bringing that experience to here, because we have a lot of new people. Obviously the program, second year, so I've played college hockey longer than the program's been around. So I think just bringing that experience to here, knowing what I know, knowing what it takes to get to that last game, the national championship game.
And even though you're only here for one season, what are you hoping to get out of this experience here at Arizona State?
Playing in pretty much everything you can in college hockey. I want these guys to experience that, and I want to come here and just kind of tell them the stories that I had at BU and kind of get them excited to work harder, so one of those days, they can be the one to experience everything I have.
It gives me no pleasure to tell all you rabid Sun Devil fans that your volleyball team is still struggling, but sometimes there's just no other way around it. ASU has dropped 3 in a row, but it gets worse. In their matches against Stanford, Washington State, and Washington, the Sun Devils failed to win a set. Luckily for you, we got volleyball insider John Engelbert to drop a little knowledge about this Sun Devil volleyball team and their round-trip journey up to Oregon. John, thanks for joining us at the desk, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Beginning to feel like a broken record here. We keep saying the same thing week in and week out, that this Sun Devil volleyball team just isn't very good. Can you be a doctor here? Give us a diagnosis. What's going on, and why has this year been so bad?
Well, what it all really boils down to is just pure inexperience on the roster. There are 17 players on the Arizona State roster. 6 of them are freshmen, 4 of them are transfers who are playing in their first year with the Sun Devils. That means there are 10 of 17 roster players that are being in a Sun Devil uniform for their first time. And it doesn't just stop with the players. The Sun Devils were forced to hire a new head coach over the offseason, Coach Stevie Mussey. And while she has experience as a player at the collegiate level, as well as being an assistant coach for Penn State, this is her first head coaching job. So inexperience from top to bottom, from the coaches down to the players, has really been a problem for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, it's been a trickle-down effect for this volleyball team, lack of experience. But there has been one player that's kind of risen above the top, leading in a few categories. Who's that player?
That player is junior middle blocker Oluma Okaro. And the stats will really back me up on this. She has 225 kills, 95 blocks, and 31 service aces.
Wow.
Not only does she lead the team in all 3 of these categories, but she has a sizable lead in both blocks and service aces. She has 95 blocks on the season. That is 30 more than second place on the team. And second on the team with service aces has just 9 compared to Okaro's 31. So Oluma Okaro, the transfer from University of San Francisco, has made a huge impact for the Sun Devils.
Well, it is a team game, and the whole team's going to have to contribute. So when they go up to Oregon, take on Oregon State and Oregon this weekend, how do you expect the team to match up against their opponents?
Well, they match up really well in their first game against Oregon State. The 2 teams have almost identical records. ASU is 8-14 on the year and 1-9 in Pac-12 play. And Oregon State is 8-13 on the year and 1-9 in Pac-12 play. That one win for the Beavers in conference play did come against the Sun Devils a few weeks back. But that was after the Sun Devils were coming into that game with short rest after a long game just 2 days earlier. So the Sun Devils match up really well against Oregon State. Unfortunately, they do not match up well against their second opponent, Oregon. Oregon is 14-5 on the year, 7-3 in the Pac-12. which is good enough to be number 20 in the country. So the Sun Devils don't match up well on paper, but they have confidence coming into that game because of their last game against Oregon the first time around. They held a 2-1 set lead in that game before eventually falling in 5. So there's a good chance the Sun Devils can come away from this weekend with 2 wins.
The Sun Devils get a very rare second chance against this team. They take on Oregon State and Oregon this weekend. Once again, that's John Engelbert at the desk. Thanks so much, John.
Thank you, Alex.
As a pair of ASU sports approach the end of their regular season, ASU Swimming and Diving is off to an early 2-0 start as they return home for the first time this weekend. Our Cronkite Sports insider Ryan Curry is at the pool deck, ready to dive into the weekend preview.
The Arizona State men's and women's swim team are getting ready for their first home meet of the year this Saturday back here at the Mona Plummer Aquatic Center. Now, of course, last week, both teams traveled north for meets against Utah and BYU. They went away with wins in both of those meets, so that means this Saturday should be something exciting.
We're going to need to swim fast. You know, it's in a week we have USC, and if we want to be up there with those guys and even the Cals and Stanford, we're going to need to race hard. We're at home, so we don't have, the constraint of traveling. We know the pool, we know the blocks, we know what to expect, and we have to race faster than we did in Utah and BYU, and I think that all the guys are excited for that.
We have a lot of pressure, and we need to pick it up, especially since this weekend we're going to go against Denver, and Utah was pretty tough. We barely beat them, so hopefully we can do well this week.
Capitan and Isleta only represent 2 of the many newcomers that are on this ASU team. Now, along with all of the talent they have, this Saturday should be something very exciting for both men and women. Here in Tempe, I'm Ryan Curry, Cronkite Sports.
Another great job by our swimming insider, Ryan Curry, which leads us to my favorite part of the show, the way it is. 3 questions, 3 answers, lightning fast responses between me and Chapman here. And of course, our producers will pick a winner at the end. That's fun. Let's go into you, ASU Hockey.
On my way.
Once again, they have another tough opponent this weekend. A top 25 ranked opponent. Harvard's coming into Tempe. Did ASU Hockey create way too hard of a schedule for themselves?
I think they're making life difficult, and they definitely have some wide eyes after the opponents they've faced. But I'm not going to fault a team in their first year of Division I hockey going head-on with their schedule. Head coach Greg Powers says that he just wants ASU Hockey to be able to compete every night, give them a chance to win. So no, a tough schedule, and it's going to stay a tough schedule, but I'm not going to fault them for it. So Alex, let's send it over to you. This weekend, a bit of a controversy between ASU football and Washington State football. Head coach Todd Graham was picked up on a hot mic with a post-game conversation with Washington State head coach Mike Leach. A couple profanities exchanged. Was it a bad look for ASU football?
Well, I mean, it certainly shatters the godly illusion that Todd Graham has built for himself. But, I mean, honestly, it only confirms what we all knew. He's a ruthless competitor that doesn't play any games. Now, when we talk about ASU basketball being right around the corner, can you throw out a name, someone that Sun Devil Nation should be keying in on and watching?
I'm going to have to go with one of the popular guys. Trey Holder, the point guard. He's going to be running that offense. That's been the plan since his freshman year, now in the prime of his junior year. Keep an eye on the new recruiting class from Bobby Hurley as the month progresses, but Trey Holder will be the main guy to watch in that first week if ASU is going to be a competitive team in the Pac-12 this year.
Right.
All right. Alex, over to you. Would you rather see Jack Smith, one of the backup quarterbacks for Arizona State, their 4th string, a wide receiver, quarterback in high school as well, over Dylan Sterling Cole at any point this season?
I mean, I'll admit it's a slight curiosity to me, but let's not forget that Dylan Sterling Cole is a big-name recruit that ASU football brought in to play quarterback. We got to show a little faith here. ASU and Oregon football this weekend. I'd love a score prediction. What you got?
I was put in hot water when I had to predict Arizona State Cal. I picked Cal. ASU won. I'm not going to doubt the Sun Devils again. It's going to be a rainy game up in Eugene during the day. But I'm going 42-35, Arizona State on top. Last year, these two sides went triple OT and Oregon won. Not this year. I'm giving Arizona State the edge. All right, Alex, usually we keep it Arizona State related, but we have a very cool World Series going on right now. True. Cleveland, Chicago. I want to know who you have.
I got Believeland in 6, baby.
There we go.
Former ASU Jason Kitness at second base for the Indians.
There's the tie-in. I like it. Okay.
So I think he's going to bring the team to the promised land here. Sorry, Cubs fans. You just got to wait a little bit longer. That's the way it is. Let's see who our producers think as the winner. Hey.
Oh, it's you.
Stole the show.
Oh,
Sorry,
my
pal.
gosh.
Sorry. College football. There's really no predicting it. Last year, ASU was projected to be a powerhouse headed to the college football playoff. That team ends up disappointing pretty much everyone and scraping a bowl game from the bottom of the barrel, which they lose. Meanwhile, the 2016 team lost senior leadership and didn't know who their quarterback was going to be until days out. And would you look at that? This group of ragtag scrappers have matched an NCAA record for most touchdowns in a single game, broken a college football record for most career field goals by a single player, and are only one game away from bowl eligibility. I guess that's the nature of the mischievous Sun Devil. There's nothing Sparky loves to do more than shake things up. And at this point, the unexpected should be expected. And with a theory like that in mind, I'm excited to see what hockey has in store for the winter. And that's the way it is.
All right, so Alex, we're 1-1 now, and the way it is, will we get a chance to break the tie? It's up to the producers. Leave the viewers with a little bit of suspense, I guess.
Honestly, we have no control up here.
Nope, none at all.
For Andrew Chapman, I'm Alex Caprariello. Make sure to follow Cronkite Sports on Twitter and Facebook, and tune in next week at the exact same time to catch a new duo up here at the desk. See you then.